I'm Alan Robarge, a relationship coach, and you're watching One Reason Why. Let's talk about one reason why the information known as love addiction is confusing to so many people. One reason that it's confusing is because when we're talking about love addiction, we're not talking about addiction. This is old school information. It's still information that is perpetuated today. There are whole healing modalities and ideologies and healing communities that overly focus on a addiction aspect to love addiction. And at the same time, there's this very large group of people who hear the presentation of love addiction being about addiction. And when they hear that, it's quite confusing. What do you mean? I'm addicted to love. My relationships have a dysfunctional, addictive quality. How is it that this addictive energy, these form of addictive thought processes are impacting and influencing my relationships in such a way that we are now calling it an addiction? One reason why this is confusing is because the history of addictions counseling and addictions communities is that they had the good sense, they had the wisdom. They were a number of pioneering thinkers who said, let's not keep staying focused on only the addict in the family or only the person with the addiction. Let's look at everybody. Let's look at the health of the system and how we're all relating. And if one person in the family is consumed in addictive processes and addictive behavior, this is going to have a ripple out effect. This is going to impact the way everyone is relating, because it's as if we have another family member now. The addiction itself is a family member. And this means that the parent in the family, or it could be, a sibling, an older sibling, whoever is the identified patient, the identified addict, we're now trying to manage and to maneuver within the family system and yet still stay connected, still stay a loving family, still attempt to be a loving family. So we're accommodating the addiction. When we accommodate the addiction, we're learning some coping skills that are unhealthy. There's a goodness, there's an intelligence there where we're naturally saying, I got to make the best of a bad situation and I still want to stay connected to my loved one. I want to help my loved one. And in the meantime, I'm going to participate in these dysfunctional ways of relating, of walking on eggshells, not telling the truth, diminishing my own needs, just going into denial and distorting reality about the impact that the unhealthy interactions, the unhealthy relating is having on the family. So when we look at these skills, these adaptive skills that we learned in this dysfunctional, addictive family, we take those skills with us into our adult relationships, and we try to create a healthy, loving, adult relationships, and we find out, oops, they're not that healthy. In fact, we're repeating these old patterns, these dysfunctional patterns that we learned in relationship. Now, in love addiction, particularly a body of knowledge, a group of information referred to love addiction, and a series of symptoms and behaviors that are categorized and create bullet points of these are the behaviors. If you read any of the literature, and if you look at what are these exact symptoms that we're referring to, we discover they're not unique to love addiction. They are, in fact, describing trauma symptoms. There are 3 categories of trauma symptoms, which I remember through the acronym HIC, H-I-C. The first one, H, means hyperarousal, a trauma symptom of having a hyper alertness, hypersensitivity, hyper empathy, hyper alertness of what is going on around us. It could even be energetic in your body, a very fine-tuned sensitivity, and it also can manifest in high levels of anxiety. If I have hyperarousal, my nervous system is very easily activated. The next trauma symptom is called intrusion. It means that I have a difficult time having boundaries and having internal boundaries around my thoughts and feelings. And I very easily can be upset. I very easily can take on another person's anger. I very easily can have an interaction with someone and then feel a profound sense of guilt. I implode very easily around my sense of self and can feel shame in a situation, judging myself harshly. These kind of experiences are intruding on my well-being. If we have had some more memorable experiences of hurt and being abused in our history, intrusion could mean very literally these memories intrude. These memories intrude in our mind, flashbacks, just remembering unpleasant things that sort of play out on a loop. That is called intrusion. And the last trauma symptom is called constriction. We pull in, we shut down, we distance, we dissociate, we become numb. And this could be either in our mind, a kind of neutral lethargy where we just can't even really think about anything. We're just sort of, our eyes are sort of dead, or we're sort of going through the motions in life. Or it could also be a sense in your body. If you are experiencing a constricted state, a dissociated state in your body, it's the feeling of being numb. So many people can report, I don't really have any feelings. I don't know what my feelings are. I'm sort of on autopilot and disconnected. So if you look at the literature of what's called love addiction and those symptoms and behaviors, and you compare it to the trauma responses, the three main categories that describe trauma responses, those are hyperarousal, intrusion, and constriction, you'll realize there's this seamless crossover. So, to repeat the question, why is it that the information referred to as love addiction can be so confusing when we're trying to track it and make sense of what happened as an addiction, or what is happening in our relationship as an addiction? The reason is because we're thrown off by that word addiction, and we're trying to channel our understanding of looking at the relating as a form of literal addiction, when in fact, that's not what is happening. That can be a component. There can be addictive habitual thinking. There can be co-occurring addictions happening at the same time. But the origin, the underlying driver, the foundational piece of information that we need to understand love addiction is, in fact, it's not about addiction, it's about relationship trauma. It's about emotional, developmental relationship trauma. This could be overt, this could be covert, covert meaning hidden and subtle, over a series of years, missed opportunities, experiences where parents, where family members were just not fully there. There was a lack of presence, a lack of engagement in key critical moments to such a degree that this has coded itself in your nervous system and in your attachment system of how you create relationships with other adults in your life. This has now coded itself in your attachment style as a kind of attachment injury, or what we refer to as a trauma. And so when you have behaviors of being preoccupied, anxious, overly consumed with what a partner is or isn't doing, feelings of uncontrollable jealousy, needing to be reunited and connected with a loved one, this dance of push-pull, distance or pursuer, come here, go away, come here, go away. And it's a kind of chronic drama, a chronic, unresolvable, dysfunctional relating. Usually what's driving this are this underlying attachment injury. And when we frame it from this perspective, it creates so much more clarity and makes sense instead of trying to track an addiction. I hope that this video is helpful. I'm Alan Robarge, a relationship coach. I help people improve their relationships. If you like this video, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. There are more videos similar to this one on its way. And you can also learn more about me at alanrobarge.com. Thank you for watching.